Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Today I want to talk about the tune-up and the update that we have coming for Punisher 2099, Falcon, and Gambit. With the talks of Magneto's buffs circulating through the community, I kind of wanted to do like a quick predict playstyle for these three champions. And to kind of like center the logic for how I evaluated these three champions and how I would change them / what I'm predicting we might see, I first need to establish that the tune-up is for Punisher 2099. That means no ability changes, just tuning up the numbers. So all of my changes for Punisher 2099 are centered only on number changes, and then the updates will allow for minor ability changes, but it's mostly the same kit with some number changes like Red Hulk or Carnage. The idea is to just make them a little bit better, not anything crazy. So with that in mind, I'm thinking Punisher 2099, Gambit, and Falcon aren't going to be like suddenly god tier champions, but maybe they don't feel as bad to pull, or they suddenly have some kind of extra niche utility beyond like Gambit's one scenario in variant 1 where you use him to stun lock. So first I want to start with Punisher 2099. Now a big part of Punisher 2099's kit is the Nano-tech charging, and you start off with 25%, and if you have Awakened you start off with a little bit more. But I think the big thing that makes Punisher 2099 not feel good is that it's every 5 seconds that you charge, right? So if you start off, let's say, with 25% and you immediately trigger the heal block, and then you're not able to keep that heal block up for whatever reason, you only have 5%, and then it's 5 seconds before you can trigger a recharge, and then you're only going to get 6% back, and now you're at 11%, and you're just stuck. So you're stuck spamming special ones to keep your battery recharged to consistently get that heal block. Additionally, the heal block is only 8 seconds, which I think is fairly low given the extra effort you have to go into to trigger it with Punisher 2099. So the way I would kind of approach this change is really center on the value he has as a heal block champion. He's this kind of like low budget heal block option. It's automatic and it's really present, and it's really solid and reliable so long as you can maintain that Nano-tech charging. Additionally, the Nano-tech charging will allow you to go into overdrive, so if you're not relying on the heal block, this is where you get your like big burst window, as long as you're not going against opponents who have a lot of buffs. And that's really easy to manage so long as you bring them into the right scenarios. You can get the maximum charge there, and then you're getting bigger damage from the special 2. You get bigger healing when you trigger the healing, even though the healing's not that much to begin with. It's only 20% of his health. And you can use that extra charge, etc., to throw like special 3s and stuff. That's really where you get your burst window here, and that's a big part of Punisher 2099's damage is that overdrive, that hitting 100% battery. It just takes so long to get there that most people never see it, and as a result, they don't realize that Punisher 2099 has access to like okay damage. I wouldn't call it good, but it's there, and if you're using him for the heal block mostly and you just want to use him for an extra fight or two, it's relevant as long as you can get there over the course of several seconds. So that said, I think the first thing I would do is I would change the Nano-tech charging. Right now it's 643. I think those numbers are just really low. I don't see any problem with the every 5 seconds mechanic. I think that's really solid, but I think this should be like 10, 6, and 2. Like really punish players if the opponent has a buffs and you're bringing Punisher 2099 into the wrong kind of matchup, but really reward them for going up against opponents who don't have buffs. Give them a solid, really good 10%. That would mean every 5 seconds they could get 10%, so every 10 seconds they get 20%, and on an 8-second heal block, they could have that heal block up permanently as long as, the opponent isn't gaining buffs. Additionally, I really think this heal block is a key part of Punisher 2099's kit. It's the utility he has, and it's really nice. It's kind of like one of his selling points, so I would personally increase this debuff duration from 8 to 12 seconds, and I know they're not changing abilities, but this next part, like automatically reapplies itself, is nice, but if it was 12-second duration plus the increase to the Nano-tech charging, that doesn't even feel necessary. Because while the reapplies is nice, it's not super consistent or reliable in a lot of scenarios. It's more like a counter to like X-23, Wolverine, Old Man Logan in those scenarios, which is nice, but really not like the best utilization of a heal block. So yeah, I think that would be neat as well. And then finally, I think they should should increase the heal substantially. So if you have 100%, which first off, if you have 100%, you're permanently draining because of overdrive. But if you have 100% when this triggers, you're getting 20% of your health. And like, because this is like completely reliant on Punisher 2099 having charge in the first place, so not having buffs, etc., like you're probably not gonna have 100% when this triggers. Maybe you're closer to 50, 60. You're only getting like 10% of your health. It's a really weak heal, and I understand that maybe when it came out, this was a nice failsafe to have. It was a solid chunk of health, but now I feel like it needs to be closer to 30 to 50% of a heal to really feel relevant. Like if a heal isn't healing for 30 to 40% these days, like on a last stand heal, especially since a lot of people just blast through the last 10% anyways, it's so insignificant that people just completely ignore it and don't realize. Like I honestly didn't even realize Punisher 2099 had this mechanic, because he's always dead when I would be pushing him into this mechanic. So that's what I would change. I think it would give him a little more survivability. I think it'd give him a little more reliable utility. And I think with the increase to the Nano-tech charging, it would give him a little more frequency and burst. It would still take you a while to get to the burst, so maybe the value of this attack rating needs to go up to accommodate as well. But overall, I think just small changes to make him feel a little bit better, and then just really stand on that whole heal block accessibility as a part of what would make him good, or at least valuable to a player to consider ranking up maybe to rank 3 or maybe even rank 4 if they're looking for a heal block option. Next up is Gambit. Gambit is getting a update. That means there will be some minor ability changes, so I've approached that from that perspective. So the first thing I want to say is every 0.5 seconds when you're blocking, when he isn't attacked, it's really frustrating trying to charge. Like at least Nebula, when you're taking block damage, you're still charging up. And it's incredibly frustrating with Gambit. You're taking this block damage and you're not charging up. So I think they should just remove that line when he isn't attacked. Just let him charge up even when you're taking attacks. Like if you're taking block damage, you're taking block damage. He doesn't have the world's greatest block proficiency. It's pretty good, but you're still taking a pretty good chunk of block damage because you're not parrying. So I think it'd be really good to just let him build it up rather than have to be like fully reliant on parry, get one charge, parry, get one charge, parry, get one charge. Or maybe give him some kind of increased block proficiency when he's blocking or after a parry, or an increased kind of perfect block like 10% to give him a slightly longer stun duration in order to allow him to more consistently build up these charges. I think something along those lines, even if it's not removing that line, but essentially giving him accessibility to these charges without it sucking as much as it does right now. Additionally, I think that increasing the quantity of value from the prowess buffs, like 18% is nice, especially when you have a lot, but it takes a while to get to this quantity of kinetic charges. So I think just capping it, like make it so you can only get like a maximum of 3 to 5, and then increase the value of each one. That way you're not spending so long just holding block. Like again, it's kind of similar with the Nebula value. Like Nebula is so great when you have 20 charges. It just takes so long to get to 20 charges. Essentially, the more charges a champion needs to sit and hold block for, the worse it feels. So, you know, I would say maybe put this at like 30% increased power or increased special damage from a prowess, and then cap it at 3, or maybe put it at 25% and cap it at 5, something along those lines, in order to make it so there's a limited quantity that you're shooting for, but also there's a higher potency, so if you only get 1 or 2, it's nice. Additionally, I think they should increase the duration of these from 10 seconds to 14 seconds. 10 seconds is just a really short window, and I think that extra 4 seconds would just really help with the whole baiting special things, maybe trying to get 1 or 2 specials out, especially with like the special 1 stun. It would just give a little bit more value out of the prowesses rather than being like 1 nice special you can consistently get multiple off. I think that'd be really nice, especially if you're playing aggressive. Also, I think it would be nice if the prowesses increases Gambit's ability accuracy percent by 5%, and the reason I say that is because like his special 1 has an 85% chance to stun, and it would be nice to get a 100% chance to stun if you have 3 of these prowess effects active, and that'd be kind of a neat way to get a guaranteed stun off his special 1, guarantee that aggressive playstyle. And if you can get that aggressive playstyle on Gambit without relying on having armor breaks on the opponents, it would provide a nice stun utility out of his special 1, so long as you're getting those prowess buffs beforehand. Additionally, I think they should change the special 2 from 100% chance to give a concussion to 85% chance to give give a concussion, right? So again, you're reliant on that prowess ability accuracy increase in order to get the 100% guarantee, and then change this concussion effect from 85% to 100%. That way you only have to place one and you're not getting screwed by some potential RNG. I hate less than 100% concussion ability accuracy reduction, so I'd really like to see that clean 100% for that utility value. Also, I think that 11 seconds is way too short for a special 2 concussion. Like, if the concussion was applied like Taskmasters or Archangels, where the effect is much easier to access, I think a special 2 utility concussion needs to be significantly larger. I would move the way of a Nihilist on this one and say 16 seconds to actually have accessibility of that concussion, so it's long enough where it feels good. You might be able to play incredibly aggressive, and if the AI is aggressive with their specials as well, and build up to another special 2, but at least you're getting a pretty good amount of value out of it. Also, I'd like it to be placed on the end of the hit, like specify that it's the last hit that places the concussion. I think that's how it already works, but that's just what I'd like to see. I know that the potency is dependent on class relationships, but I'd like to see this concussion just be, you know, an overall generic use concussion, because then it'll see more value in general. And then yeah, that's Gambit. I think that alone would make him decent. It would give him some solidly charged special attacks. His damage numbers aren't the absolute worst, especially when you have prowesses. You would have, you know, that stun lock or that stun potential from special 1. You would have a concussion potential from special 2, and that's really all you would need him for. I don't think he needs a lot of use, but hey, maybe we'll see some kind of tanky abilities and stuff with the passive and the unique armor and stuff. Any kind of immunity or anything in the mutant category is a really nice touch, but I doubt we'll see immunities. But honestly, just making him hit a little bit harder with the specials would be really nice, especially for all the, you know, increasing of prowess potentials and power shield with the 400% special damage increase. It would be nice to have this guy come in and hit like a truck. Finally, I want to talk about Falcon, and Falcon's got kind of like probably the worst starting kit. So you can dash back and hold block for 2 seconds, which is a really long time, to trigger a scan hold. Now, my first recommendation is to change the hold block from 2 seconds to 1.2 seconds. And my base expectation for that is Namor. Currently, Namor can dash back and hold block for 1.2 seconds. That's how he gains his extra bar of power in his Imperious Rex. Where when he has over 15 charges. Anyways, 1.2 seconds is the dash back. If you've ever played Namor, you kind of have an idea of how long that is. It's long enough where you still might end up taking some block hits or having to, you know, cancel the block or abort your plan if they're like throwing a heavy, so you back off. But it's short enough that you can parry, dash back, hold block, and be relatively safe in securing the trigger. 2 seconds is just really long to do, so I think that's just too long to get the full value. Additionally, 10 seconds is a really short window. Even though it's 100% ability accuracy reduction, you already have to dash back and hold block for 2 seconds, and you're only getting a 10-second value out of it. I'd like it to be 14 seconds instead. Not quite 16 seconds. I think that extra 2 seconds is more for things that are triggered by like a special 2, because this is something you can reproc, but 14 seconds, that extra 40% makes a really solid value. It's an extra combo, maybe an extra special bait, just essentially gives you a little more value out of that. Next, I'd say his Awakened ability needs to give some kind of critical damage rating. Now, I like that it gives crit rating, but Falcon just hits like a twig. So any chance to like increase the damage here, especially since he doesn't really have that in his kit for the most part, would be really nice. So if you have increased crit rating and you have increased critical damage rating, that's like a solid chunk up in damage. I think that would be nice. Additionally, I just think these numbers need to be increased in general. So a really low crit rating increase in my opinion. So I'd like to see that be a lot higher, like 900 or so, and then like a crit damage rating increase of like 600 or so, just to make it feel really substantial. And especially since it's on his Awakened ability, so you would have to be investing in his SIG level to really access that. And then finally, I'd like some kind of effect on his special attacks, where if you're like locked on, to like benefit the whole dash back and trigger your lock on, you get like some kind of Fury or Prowess effect to really increase his damage. I don't think he needs any more kind of a utility because he has access to this 100% defensive ability accuracy reduction. It's just that like he hits so weak that you just completely overlook him as an option for defensive ability accuracy reduction. So I think the next thing would be, if you're locked on, increase his special damage. Like his regular hits don't need to hit that hard, but if you have like a prowess that increases your special damage by like 100%, or on special attack, if you're locked on, you gain a permanent fury, increasing your damage by like 6%, and then that would allow you to like scale it like 10 times or something, so you could get like a 60% increase in damage. Maybe there's a ramp up value there, just like a 4 giggles kind of a mentality. I'd like it to be something more substantial than that, to see it be less of a meme and more of an actual use case, because this defensive ability accuracy reduction is actually really nice and it's super accessible. So just shoring up that damage in some way, shape, or form, I think it's really easy to do on some kind of special ability, specifically when locked on. So that's my thoughts on these 3 champions. Let me know what you think. Maybe I went too light. Maybe you have some crazy ideas or some awesome ideas and you want to share, and you have predictions for what Kabam has in store for us. Or maybe you're Kabam and you want to give us a little teaser. As always though, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.